welcome to another video here at Dynamic Photowerks. Today we're going to talk about one of my favorite photo shoots ever. Alright, so last time I did one of these videos, I talked about one of my favorite shoots that happened to be on an airport with 3 Aston Martins. Now this photo shoot was actually on another airport. I like airports, but it was with one of my favorite brands of all time. You know it, Porsche. I'm not sure where my love for Porsche first began, but it happened pretty early on. I started to realize that these things are pretty special. There's a lot of them in my area, which also helped fan the flames. And when I had an opportunity to buy one myself, I did, and it's a 2007 Cayman S. And while yes, I would love to get a 911, it's a little out of my budget at the moment. I had a lot of great opportunities to meet many owners of GT products, which are the best of the best. As I got to know the brand better, I also got to know a lot of different owners within the Porsche community, which is awesome. Many of which owned a GT3 or GT2 or any GT car product, a Porsche, which is obviously known as some of the best and very racy, extremely exciting cars. Naturally, I gravitate toward those. One friend in particular has a 2011 GT3RS. It's the aqua blue color with the red graphics DZL package, which makes it look kind of insane and kind of awesome. And after some talks with them, I had the opportunity to photograph it. All right, so to quickly walk you through some of the 911 generation models, just to make sure you're up to speed, let's start at the beginning. So it all began in 1963 with the 911. Ferry Porsche wanted to make a sports car, and he set out to do just that with a whole new brand with his own name behind it. The 911 model ran from 1963 to 1973, where it was updated to become the G Series 911. The G Series saw a lot of changes to the 911 over its almost 2-decade-long lifespan, which ended in 1989 with the 964 model 911. The 964 was, again, a full model refresh and saw a lot of great changes. And the 964 is known as one of the best of the air-cooled generations because it still looked a lot like those classic air-cooled models, but didn't have that full reshape of the 993 models, which followed it. The 964 model also happens to be the generation of 911 that Singer Vehicle Design uses as donor cars to convert to their reimagined cars. They chose that one very specifically, but we're going to keep going. After the 964 came the 993. The 993 is also known as one of the greatest air-cooled 911s, also the last air-cooled 911. It ran from 1994 to 1998, and in those 4 years, it saw a good number of different models being made, and now some of which are also the most valuable 911s ever made. So with the 993s being the last air-cooled, the thing that comes next is obviously the first of the liquid-cooled. The 996 generation was born, and it was hotly disputed as a unique 911 with its radical new styling that still to this day many find to be far from perfect. But I would actually say that it's growing on me as of late, and it's starting to age pretty well if you ask a lot of 911 owners. And in 2001, they introduced the 0.2 version, which brought us into 2004 with a couple of facelifted changes to the design as well as the interior. So the most important thing that the 996 model generation had going for it was that was the one that introduced the GT3 model. It was introduced with some styling cues from the 1973 2.7 RS 911, which is a pretty cool throwback and a little bit of a head nod to the 911 heritage, but it also just made people go crazy for track-prepped road cars, which this was. Jump ahead to the 2004 when the 997 model was introduced, which brought a full refresh again on the motors, interior, exterior, completely new. We're getting into my favorite 911 model generation because in 2008, the 997.2 facelifted version was introduced. Not sure why exactly I fell in love with this generation, but it's just something to do with the perfect balance between the size and the styling and the way it performs, and the fact that it's got the hydraulic steering still. This is the last time the hydraulic steering was put into a 911, and there's a lot of things that I really resonate with on this car. And the car we're talking about on this video is a 997.2 GT3 RS. All right, so now that we know what the car is that I'm talking about, let's get on to the photo shoot. On my photo shoots, I don't always know how things are going to turn out. I hope that they turn out great. I hope that sort of magic happens when I'm on set. But I've realized over the years that it's the best results that come when you do the most prep work before the shoot. And on this shoot, I was able to connect with some great people to help me out, and also to help source the location for this shoot, which also happened to be an airport. So I had the car, the owner was on board. I connected with Jacob Stevenson to help shoot some behind the scenes footage, which you're gonna see in a second, and a couple of other friends to help just assist and move cameras and lights to make sure everything went smoothly on set. This shoot, as most of my favorite shoots go, are set at golden hour. The reason I chose golden hour is just because the light is low, there's more color in the sky, you get to work with the sun more, you get to work with shadows more, and I've found that that is always the best time to get great results. And being at the location we were at an airport, set behind an awesome control tower, historic control tower, we wanted to make this thing look great. And I brought in the lights, I brought in the people, I had the car, the owner was there, I had permission to be where I was on the inside of an airport, and yeah, the stage was set and we just had to make it happen. Look right here, this is one of my favorite shots. So on this job, I was just shooting for a private client. So there were no rules. I didn't have to shoot anything specifically. It was just based on a passion for that car and getting great images and photography. Because there was no rules, I just sort of had fun with it. It was spitballing ideas. It was just sort of setting up the angles I liked and on the car, finding which ones work best, and we just had a blast. The goals of any of my photo shoots are to take what I see in my head for the results that I want and make it a reality. And sometimes, the car shows up and that paint doesn't quite pop like you want, so you have to make it happen. You have to work with the lights and work with the angles and get those angles out that you see in your head, and to bring those colors to life too, with this car specifically, with its aqua blue paint color, those bright red wheels, to make that thing pop like it does in the perfect lighting. It was always fun. So one of the coolest moments we had when we were photographing this car was that while we were on an active airport, a Black Hawk helicopter came flying right overhead, circled around us, and landed kind of back behind us at a different hangar. I don't know if it was like the Air Force or whoever it was, but I was able to grab my camera and take a shot of it up close, got a pretty decently high-res photo of it, and then I actually incorporated that into one of my photos. So it wasn't, the finished photo wasn't, that wasn't where it was placed, but it was there. I took it and I stuck it in the photograph just to make it look cool, and that's one of my favorite shots now. So that's about it. I didn't have like a ton to say about the shoot necessarily, other than we had so much fun on this, and I thank you to all the people who came out to help me, and to Golden Peaks Productions, who was there to film some of this great behind the scenes footage that you've seen. And I think that's really what it's all about with private shoots and stuff, just to make it fun, to aim for those results you see in your head, and make sure you don't get too stressed out and blow an opportunity, because those are the ones where you can really have fun and kind of like set really high limits for yourself, and to learn new things, to try new things. I think that's so important for any photographer, and car photographer specifically. So that's the story on this photo shoot breakdown. Thank you for watching. We'll be back next week with another new video. If you haven't already, please subscribe, like, smash, all that stuff on the YouTubes. But also, Shutter Speed Media is our podcast. We're always talking about photo shoots, behind the scenes stuff, talking with some of the greatest photographers in the country. And you can listen to that on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We drop a new episode every week, so look that up. You can find me on Instagram at Dynamic Photowerks, and that is all. Thank you for watching.